Hey there, my name is Jason, and I am a registered polysomnographic technologist, a sleep tech, and can you ever get off of CPAP? That question is not easy to answer at all. I get a lot of questions of, do people get off of it? How many people get off of it? I don't have statistics on that. I don't know how many of those would be, they just failed CPAP, they don't want to do it anymore. Or how many of them actually get tested again and it comes back that they actually, in fact, do not need CPAP anymore. I've seen a few in the lab that this has happened to, or they had severe sleep apnea, had CPAP, and then did whatever to resolve the problem that was causing CPAP, and now they no longer need it. So yeah, it happens. But as far as can you ever get off of CPAP? That I don't know. It's very difficult. So let's talk about some scenarios, and I like to draw, so we'll go ahead and draw. All right, apparently when I did the recording of this with the drawings, my voice didn't record. So now what I said so eloquently the first time will be haphazardly spoken here. I'll try to figure out what the hell I was talking about at the time. Right there I am drawing the tongue. It's like a cross section of the head. This will be for later reference. But there's the throat, that's the chin there that I just drew. Nice little eyeball. So we have the sinus cavities on top, the tongue, and then the oral cavity. That's the throat. Good stuff, good stuff. It looks like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, but they probably maybe suffered from sleep apnea as well. All right, so one of the primary things associated with sleep apnea is weight. And so you may have a person here, they are skinny. Next thing you know, they are chunky. And with that chunkiness comes a host of problems. Your neck fat basically increases. Your tongue maybe gets larger. The soft palate becomes full of fatty tissue. All of this encroaches on your airway. And when this is done, obviously you end up with a crowded airway, and so air is not able to move through it quite as fast or as efficiently. And so sleep apnea is the result. So if you were to lose weight, that is one possible scenario in which you could feasibly get off of CPAP. However, with that comes, if you gain weight, all that tissue has stretched. And so if it firms up again, the likelihood of you getting off CPAP is much better. Whereas if it doesn't and it remains flabby, like stretch marks maybe on your side, how those don't exactly go back, the elasticity is gone. If that remains in your upper airway, that flabbiness, the sleep apnea will remain, as well as like loud, thunderous snoring. So apparently I need to reiterate that arrow. So some of the other things that can occur is, the cause of it is having a larger than normal tongue. Not much you can do about that. If you have a smaller than normal airway, not really much you can do about that. I hope I do a drawing here of that. But in the past, what they would do is have an anchor. They would attach to, they don't do it because it's pretty friggin' disgusting. They would shoot a barb into your airway and then anchor it to your, I believe it was your hyoid bone, which is kind of near your Adam's apple. And what they would do is pull it forward. That would basically, I guess I'm drawing a small airway there, but they would anchor it and pull it forward, and so that would pull your airway open more, and that would give you a shot at having a larger airway, which would fix that. However, what they found is that little harpoon that would hold it in place, they would break. They were painful. Oh, there's the drawing. Yay! So it'd shoot it in, pull it out that way, and that would get larger, as the lovely illustration is showing. Again, not real pleasant to have this barb in your throat, and it would break. So that kind of sucks. All right, let's see what we're going to draw next. This ought to be good. Looks like the uvula right there. So that would be the fatty tissue I was talking about. So you can have those surgeries like the laser assisted uvula, the U triple P or laser assisted U triple P, and that would basically take off all that excess tissue. Now that's crazy painful. Oftentimes it doesn't take care of, like I said, the large tongue, and it often, if you have again, if you don't have a small airway, if you have a small airway, it's not going to address that. It's also not going to address if your jaw falls back into your airway or your tongue slides back into your airway. So the U triple P, if your uvula is falling back in the airway, yes, it will fix it. If you have soft fatty tissue in your soft palate and you have that removed, yes, that will fix it. But that's only if that is the only problem. So you always have to take a multifaceted approach to this. What are the things causing the apnea? And then each of those need to be successfully addressed. You can't just pick and choose. All right, what are we drawing now? What is this? I believe I'm talking about oral appliances here. So that's the upper teeth, and then that would be the nose, the big hump on top, and this would be the lower jaw. So like a retrognathia, where the chin is recessed, or just this is if you're relaxing and your jaw falls back. You can see right there, the airway is much smaller. And so the theory behind the oral appliances that thrust your jaw forward, mandibular advancement is what they would call it. So that would be pulling the airway forward, or basically preventing the chin there from collapsing into the airway. So you have an appliance on right there. It's usually slightly forward, and so your airway there is pulled open, as I'm drawing so lovely. So this isn't exactly successful for everyone. The problem with these not being successful is that people try to do it. If you're in the range of severe sleep apnea or moderate sleep apnea, those aren't people that are appropriate for it. It's only the people with mild sleep apnea. So that's in that 5 to 15 AHI, apnea-hypopnea index range. If you're above that, you are not a candidate. So of those people that are appropriate, 75% successful. And success in this case is defined by decreasing your AHI by 50%. So if you're at the upper end of that, an AHI of 15 times you have an apnea or hypopnea, success could be that drops down to 7.5. So your AHI, you'd still be waking up 7.5 times per hour of sleep, which is kind of still a lot. I mean, technically that's still diagnosable. So that's the way success is defined in this case, which is, I think, relevant. Now, if you're at the lower end of that, if you're like at 5 and it drops in half, I mean, 2.5, that's doable. Problem being, do RERAs, are they still around? Respiratory effort related arousals. If those are still around, those are still waking you up. So that is no good. So a lot of times with those, over the counter isn't going to work. You have to have a dentist make them. Those over the counter ones are just really hit and miss. You need to be monitored with it. So here's another situation. That would be the nose from the front. And then if you have a deviated septum that is just flat, causing you to have difficulties getting air in and out, well, then that is an issue in and of itself. So even if you're using CPAP, which this happens a lot, people using CPAP and they're like, I cannot breathe through my nose at all. I just simply can't get air in. Well, that's because your anatomy's dorked up. Now, usually if you have that deviated septum fixed, air is able to enter easily and exit easily. And so CPAP treatment is better. Now, if you're not even on CPAP, fixing a deviated septum, actually, it can help as well. It just makes breathing easier. Again, one of those things you're not really going to know until you actually have the surgery and then get tested again. What will we draw now? I am twittering with delight. What is coming up next? These are the joys of talking after you find out your audio didn't record. Oh, what is this? I believe I'm trying to do the maxillomandibular advancement surgery. So this is the one, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where I'm going. You have your maxilla, which is the upper part of your skull, around like under your eyes and above your teeth. That is broken and pulled forward. Lovely, right? But what it does is it opens up the airway. They also break the lower jaw, pull it forward. So this is like a more permanent oral appliance. All of that is pulled forward. So you're increasing the space in there. Actually increasing or changing the look of yourself. A lot of times it improves the look, but that's the gist of it. So I guess that's probably the point of this whole video is, can you get off of CPAP? Yeah, but you have to address every scenario that is affecting you that is causing you to have CPAP. Or sorry, not causing you to need CPAP. So if your tongue is larger than normal, not much you can do. If your airway is smaller than normal, really not much you can do. You're going to know this by having a doctor examine you. Are you obese? Well, you can fix that with either bariatric surgery or the good old-fashioned way of running your butt off and not eating that much. If you have a thyroid problem, good luck with that. I actually had a thyroid problem, so I'm very sympathetic to that. I know there's other medical conditions that are going to cause that, injuries as well. If you need to get exercise, may I suggest a swimming pool? I've had knee problems and stuff in the past, and you still need to exercise. So getting in the pool was actually fantastic. Takes all the weight off, and it burns a crap ton of calories. So that's a good way to go. Just kind of a little offshoot there. But will losing weight always solve the problem? No, it won't. But it's still good to do. Now, if you have problems with your sinuses, nasal congestion that's chronic, deviated septum, broken nose that didn't heal right, if you resolve those things, you can potentially get off of CPAP. But again, now do you also have a soft palate that's sagging in the way? There's a lot of things that need to be addressed, and so for that you need to have a full workup, have a complete examination by usually an ear, nose, and throat otolaryngologist that kind of specializes in that area. So I'm sorry, there's no simple answer to that, but it's actually the most appropriate answer and the most fair answer to you, because I see a lot of these people on the internet saying like these anti CPAP devices, and it's like a boil and bite mouthpiece. Like, what the hell? Like, you're like, seriously, that, like, no one thought of that yet? like really? If only we thought of that. It doesn't work. It's crap. It's like charlatan snake oil, folks. It doesn't work. It's much more complicated than that. I wish it were that easy because it would be less expensive, and I guess I could do something else with my time. I would learn to play the guitar better is what I do. But good luck to you in figuring out how you can get off of CPAP. Just know that people do get off of CPAP. It's not always easy. It takes a lot of discipline because really there's like two things you can control with getting off of CPAP. One is having some kind of a surgery that's going to correct, like I said, the deviated septum or the chronic congestion, the problem with your nose, just simply getting air in. That can be resolved. Being obese, that too can be resolved. And neither of those things are easy, but they are doable. Now, once you do resolve those, it's a flip of the coin. You have no idea whether it's going to work or not, but hopefully it does. Anyway, that's it. I think I've rambled on too long. So if you have any problems, questions, clarifications, want to cuss me out, go ahead and either respond to this video, or you can look at my other stuff on freecpapadvice.com, or join the forum, freecpapadvice.com/forum. I look forward to seeing you there, and that's it.